Back to another episode of Making Podcasts Great Again. I am your tech stuff guy, Jay Nog, and we are here, of course, with El Presidente, the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, how are you today?
Very worried for our country. Our podcast is strong. No surprise there, but very worried for our country.
Did you have a happy Passover?
Who?
Your daughter Ivanka is an observant Jew, so I thought maybe
Oh, right,
you
right.
spent Passover with
The matzah thing, right?
yes, the Seder plate, the matzah.
It's so sad with the matzah because this is why I say the Jewish people, they're very smart, but they're sort of sneaky. And, they give you the matzo ball soup and you love the matzo ball soup. It's like a delicious, big, Mike Pence used to get so excited when he would see the ball. We don't talk to him, but he would see that big matzo ball in the soup and he would just get right into it. And it's a delicious soup. And then you go, oh, I'll have a matzah. That's like getting rid of the soup. So just give me the matzah and it should be great too. Disgusting. Like a burnt saltine with no salt.
Yeah, matzah isn't the most delicious thing, but you're not allowed to eat bread, so you have to eat the matzah.
Which is good. I approve of that because I said to Ivanka, she was wearing a nice dress, and I said, your rear end is looking a little African American right now. Maybe trimming on some of the carbs would help. So I think Passover is a good, sort of a good diet plan for Ivanka.
It's a good holiday for her physique.
It is,
That's
more squats, less carbs.
So you did go to a Seder, I'm assuming, or no?
Who's Seder? Darth Seder? I am your Jew, Luke.
No, a Seder is what you call.
You think Darth Vader was Jewish?
No, well, I don't know. Were there any Jews in the galaxy? Were there religion? I don't think there was really much religion. Like you didn't really see Christians or Jews during Star Wars.
Sounds like a very Democrat sort of science fiction. I bet they'd like that. Little Ewoks running around, Jabba the Hutt,
I didn't know you were such a Star Wars fan.
No, well, when my first wife was trying to learn English, she wanted to go to the movies, and that was, those were the big movies.
All right. It's understandable. Mr. President, we do have a new president of the podcast of the Perfect 10 Patreon Patriots. We have a new president, is an African-American president named Rudley with the hard R.
It's actually pronounced African-American. We need to pronounce it right.
African-American.
Oh, very good.
And I wanted to know how you felt about our new president and how you felt that he was an African-American.
Okay, look. The fake news has been calling me racist for so long. People accept it. We are so not racist. We now have the president, okay, of our podcast. Well, not the Patreon Patriots.
Right.
Is an African American, okay? Sleepy Joe doesn't have a podcast, and I can tell you he probably wouldn't have an African American running it if he did. And so that's 2 strikes against Sleepy Joe. But we are so not racist. We're very proud of our African American. Okay. If it wasn't the Zoom, I would have, given him a nice pat on the head and said, good job. And, so just because we're going to obviously observe him a little more strictly than we did Tom Fitzgerald, we didn't really observe him. We sort of trusted him. So Rudley, we're going to watch a little more carefully. Like if the podcast were a department store, we might just have somebody sort of watching the presidency of Rudley to make sure it goes very strongly. And I have no doubt that it will. But, Tom Fitzgerald was the sort of president where you sort of, we're going to let Tom be Tom and go look at things. But we're just going to have a little more, because it's his first month with Rudley, no racism. But we're just going to sort of monitor his presidency very carefully, very strongly.
You said you were going to pat him on the head like he is your Saint Bernard. What do you mean you're going to pat him on the head?
His name's Rudley, not Bernard.
I know, but you talked about him like he was an animal, how you're going to pat him on the head.
I can't believe the tech stuff people sent us are racist.
I am not racist. You're the one who
No, well,
said it.
I just heard what you said, and I don't even want to repeat it. That's how disgraceful I thought it was. So I think we should move on because what you just said was probably the most offensive thing I've ever heard. I swear on the souls of Jeffrey Epstein and Roy Den Hollander that that is probably the worst thing I've heard on this podcast.
All right. That's totally fine. Um, Rudley is our new president, and it's unfortunate that you need someone to follow him around the store when you let Tom Fitzgerald have free reign of the store. But
Well, Tom Fitzgerald, maybe if he ever became president again, we'd have to revise that. But the truth is, until he messed up, it was a powerful. I will admit this. Okay, we're not happy with what he did, missing a very important, critical Q&A Perfect 10 Patreon meeting. But until then, he was almost as good a podcast patriot president as I was a president. He was almost to that level. So, but it's a cutthroat business. Some would call it a deep throat business, and you have to, there's no room for mistakes. So we're going to watch Rudley with a hard R very carefully, and I have no doubt that he'll succeed, but he may not, and we'll deal with it at that time.
okay, you don't seem to have too much confidence in Rudley as being a
No,
perfect 10.
Excuse me. I have very strong confidence.
Very strong confidence, but you're going to watch him like a hawk. And you said that Tom Fitzgerald is waiting in the wings.
I said no such thing. I said that, as you know, Tom Fitzgerald is now our vice president of the Patreon Patriots. But it's a tough job. Okay, it's a lot tougher than being tech stuff guy, that I can tell you. So we're just going to provide Rudley with the observation and support to try and see that his presidency is a success. I don't see why that's bad.
Well, Rudley, congratulations again on being president of the Perfect 10.
And I don't know why at this point they really should be part of the Perfect Tens.
I know it's unfortunate they missed a great bonus episode, and all the Perfect 10s out there really enjoyed it. We got a lot of messages, so we're gonna do more fun stuff like that throughout the year. You made a speech at there was a wedding in Mar-a-Lago, and you made a speech at this wedding.
The bride was not very attractive.
Okay, but
I kept that to myself. It's called being nice.
But you made a speech at this wedding, and
very powerful speech.
You just rallied and lashed out against President Biden. That's all you did. So what you say? Like, congratulations, and then you just made it a political statement for yourself.
Well, here's the thing: if you have a wedding at Mar-a-Lago, okay, you're hoping that I show up. Okay, I think you would agree with that. You don't book Mar-a-Lago and go, "Oh, I'm part of the radical left. I thought Bernie Sanders would come in here and we'd all get to drink of Nancy Pelosi and AOC's breast milk in some sort of socialist orgy." No, you go to Mar-a-Lago because you want to see Russian hookers and you want to see Donald J. Trump. Okay, so they were getting what they wanted. Okay, and by the way, if anybody out there listening wants their wedding at Mar-a-Lago, for only an additional $100,000, you get the presidential package, which is I show up, I do a toast at your wedding, and then I get to have a threesome with two of your bridesmaids that I choose. But we videotape it and send it to everybody, so they can watch it during the next morning brunch.
All right. Well,
you're not getting many wedding packages better than that. I mean, that's a great deal.
I guess you're right. If you get married in Vegas, you want the Elvis impersonator. You get married at Disney World, you want Mickey Mouse to show up. So if you get married at Mar-a-Lago, you definitely want President Trump showing up, and
Russian hookers.
Right, of course. Was the couple thrilled to have you at the wedding?
Oh, they were thrilled. I mean, the guy was so thrilled. He didn't seem too happy when I said, "Oh, that's who you're marrying." Eesh. But no, they were very happy. They were so think about it this way. If you're a patriot, meeting your president is the greatest thing ever. But if you're a patriot getting married at the president's home, basically, I don't think there's any better situation possible.
And you have it on tape when you making the speech. That's something that can go into your album. That's something to go into your wedding video.
Plus the sex tape with the bridesmaids after.
Right. That can go on as, I don't know, for the director's cut or extra.
The Snyder
scenes.
Cut, which we reviewed this week on Rotten Oranges, by the way.
Yes, you got a lot of great feedback from your reviews. People were saying it was the best movie review ever.
It was the best. I will say this. It was the best movie review episode I think that I've done for the Patriots.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Nomadland and the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I don't have the endurance to sit through the Snyder Cut, and I'm not really a big superhero guy.
Well, let me tell you, when I got to that, I called him the Snyder C word, because it was a lot of time.
So this wedding at Mar-a-Lago, you used it for political purposes, and you got good feedback from the couple. And I understand the couple would want you to speak, but if it was me, and I'm a huge fan, and if
here's the thing that you don't understand, the generosity, because the truth is, when you get married at Mar-a-Lago, in the contract, okay, we have great lawyers who write up these contracts. Actually, in one of the clauses, I am allowed to have the marital bed first. I got this from, remember Braveheart? Great movie, Braveheart. Prima, we call it Trumpa Nocta. And it means that I get to have sex with the bride on the wedding night first. No condom. And I waived that at it being generous, but also because she was very unattractive. So I said, here's what we'll do. I will take your two hottest bridesmaids and you can have your ugly wife.
Oh, I didn't know there was negotiating involved.
Well, there's always if they signed the contract. I could have, if I had wanted to, if I wanted to be really tough, I could have held that to them. I could have held that clause, just popped a few Viagra, closed my eyes, and, impregnated his wife on their wedding night. But I didn't, because it's called being a gentleman.
Well, that is very gentlemanly of you.
And then I screamed at them while I was making passionate, strong love to the bridesmaids. And I yelled out to the groom outside. Remember Gladiator?
Yes, you screamed Sparta.
I yelled out, am I not merciful? Because I was letting him have his own wife, his own ugly wife on his wedding night. Sparta is 300, by the way. That's Mike Pence's. Right. That's Mike Pence's favorite Gladiator movie.
That's right. That's great, Mr. President. Now, I know you can't be too happy with this, that there's a billboard right outside of Mar-a-Lago, and right now it currently says in big letters, "Trans lives are precious." What are your thoughts on this giant billboard right outside Mar-a-Lago?
Well, we're putting up a rival a billboard that says, "Precious is a fat black." And we'll see who likes which billboard people like better.
It's a pretty funny idea for a rival billboard.
Because what I've learned about the radical left is not only do they have all these causes, what we're going to start doing, this is a powerful strategy that we're working with right now. We are going to use humor against the left, because the left has become so anti-comedy that I will start doing jokes to fight. I'm not going to argue with them over their dumb billboard. I'm just going to say, okay, well, if you think that's precious, actually, we'll put an "actually" in front of it, like a little snotty girl. Actually, precious is a fat black.
Are you saying actually is a person?
No, actually, actually, like some of the dumb chicks that I'm going to sleep with when I get divorced from melatonin.
Okay.
You never heard somebody say, I think this was a good movie. And then some woman, a young lady will go, well, actually, it wasn't that good. So I'm just going to put actually, like a bitchy. It's called in grammar, it's called a bitchy actually.
Ah. Well, I love that idea for a billboard. That should be hilarious right outside Mar-a-Lago with a rival billboard. I like how you're going to build your own billboard to rival that billboard.
I
That's
have
a real
billions
G
of
right there.
dollars, and the left is scared to death of them.
Mr. President, our next piece of news, COVID right now, President Biden thinks that he can vaccinate
You
200
know,
million
there's something you
Americans.
keep doing on this podcast that I and I know many of our great listeners find very disrespectful. On this podcast,
Yes.
he is known as trespasser in chief or Sleepy Joe.
Okay.
There's no third option. So just please correct yourself
Okay.
before you wreck yourself.
Okay. I don't want to wreck myself. So Sleepy
Well, you're
Joe.
coming pretty close to wrecking yourself.
Sleepy Joe is most likely he's trying to vaccinate 200 million Americans in his first 100 days. Also, he wants to reinstate mask mandates in all states and wants the governors to reinstate them. I know they've been lifted in some states, and I heard Florida doesn't even look like there's a pandemic down there. It's like 1985. There are other states that still have it. In New York, if you want to go into a public place, you have to wear your mask. I know Texas, I think it's being lifted right now. What are your thoughts on this? It's for the American safety. I know you do not speak up about the vaccinations. You don't speak up about how you've been vaccinated. Um, Tell us your thoughts on this.
Masks are for complete and utter pathetic pussies. But if you want to wear one, that's okay. You know, I'm not going to tell you not to wear one, but no, I don't think it should be mandatory. I think Sleepy Joe, that's first they tell you to wear masks. Next thing they know, they're forcing you to have abortions and murdering your children and bulldozing your homes and creating a communist socialist nightmare.
You think it's going that extreme? I think since Sleepy Joe has been in office, I think COVID has only gotten better in our country. The cases have gone down. People are getting vaccinated.
Sleepy Joe's person today, one of his women that he hired, he's, oh, look at me, I hired women. I'm so not sleepy. He he hired a woman who is saying she thinks we're headed for like a doomsday scenario, that we should prepare for a fourth wave. A fourth wave. Sleepy Joe Biden is giving us a fourth wave. That's real successful.
I don't know how that's possible since people are going to be vaccinated. I mean, more people are with any of these waves. No one was vaccinated. Now it doesn't matter if there's. I don't understand. It's the people who aren't vaccinated. They might get COVID. Okay, but it's not going to really affect the states that are highly vaccinated.
Well, you know what? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, you know, people from Florida, they like to travel. I think what we're dealing with in Florida is so beautiful. I think it's so beautiful. They never stopped going to the gym. They never stopped having sex. They never stopped partying. So I think I said this before on the podcast. I think we're headed to a beautiful idiot baby boom where we're going to have a generation of strong, stupid, horny, Trump loving babies being born in Florida in like 6 to 12 months.
Now, do you think well, I want to ask you this. If someone walks around Mar-a-Lago and you see them and they're wearing a mask, what do you do? And what is the protocol for Mar-a-Lago if someone's wearing a mask there?
Man or woman,
Let's go with a man first.
get the hell out of here.
If if a woman is wearing the mask,
Is she attractive?
let's call her a 7.
Get the hell out of here.
Let's call her an 8.
Turn around.
She
Nope,
looks
get
good.
the hell out of here.
Let's say she's a 9.
Well, hello, miss. Why are you wearing a mask? Is this part of some sort of role play? Like, you know, you want Donald Trump to dominate a progressive hottie? And if it
So
turns out to be like a role play thing, we'll do an eyes wide shut. Like, oh, look at me. I'm AOC wearing a mask at Mar-a-Lago. What are you going to do to me, Mr. President?
So you think the mask, they're wearing it not for safety from COVID? You think it's trying to get you to role play in the bedroom with them, and that's a very passive aggressive way of showing you?
Well, what else am I supposed to assume? I mean, obviously, when I see some woman walking around hot with a mask on Mar-a-Lago, I grab her, I take her into the nearest bedroom, and we have great, powerful sex. And if she says, oh no, this isn't what I meant, I go, oh, but it's still part of the role play. Strong role play. Good commitment to the role play.
So there's no masks in Mar-a-Lago. Were there ever masks in Mar-a-Lago over the past year?
I would have some of our uglier staff members wear masks of attractive people.
So the
Remember
mask,
Mission Impossible 2, where they had the very good masks? We have those. So if you were like a good worker but not attractive, I would go, here, put on this mask.
so your mask mandates were based on looks and not based on COVID.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right. In other COVID news, your former pandemic coordinator, Dr. Burks, do you remember her?
We call her Scarf Bitch.
Because she always wore a scarf,
Or she wore a
and
lot of scarves.
you didn't like
She reminded me of Snarf on the Thundercats.
her.
So when she would walk into a room, I would go, Scarf, Scarf.
Okay. Now, she made a statement that suggested that your your restraint dealing with COVID costs our country thousands of lives. What do you have to say about that?
If I was not president, okay, this is why I never liked Deborah Birx. If I was not president, we would have lost 14 billion American lives.
14 billion. I don't know how you're going to make more Americans to kill. I don't understand.
Well, there were so many Americans having babies because they love the Trump economy so much. By the way, are you expecting a baby with your wife?
We are expecting a
And
daughter.
look at, and you're a radical left tech stuff guy, and even you
I'm not
acknowledge that.
radical anything.
Excuse me, radical left tech. That's what we're calling you. And it's the total opposite of Idaho Militia Christian Bible State Tech College, which is a great school, by the way. I'm doing the commencement speech there in a couple of months. But in fact, I think we should probably put that out at some point. Now that I think of it.
Should.
We should live stream my commencement address at Idaho Militia Christian, as that's what they call it for short. But no, what were we talking about, Burks?
Yes.
Well, oh no, so you, as a radical left tech stuff person,
Oh yes, with a child. I'm having a baby.
You under the great Trump economy said, okay, it's never going to get better than this. And there were literally billions of people around the world and in this country saying we have to have a bigger family because Donald J. Trump is so great. And, so I saved all those lives. I saved many lives that would have been murdered by China. So, no, I think Deborah Birx is stupid. And I say to her, scarf, scarf.
But Mr. President, she.
And then, you know what, when Melatonin would walk in, I'd say, Thundercats, ho. And I called Ben Carson Panthro because he was clearly a black blue panther. And then I have sex with my Chitara sex doll.
But Mr. President, Dr. Birx, your callbacks of Lion-O and the crew and Thundercats, I'm very impressive.
I didn't mention Lion-O. And wasn't there another annoying one who had there's always some stupid comic book character that has a staff. Remember how Donatello had a staff? Yeah. I know all these because we would watch the cartoons at Jeffrey Epstein's house. So I just sort of absorbed a lot of that.
Who is your favorite Ninja Turtle?
My favorite one? Yeah. I like the Jewish rat, Splinter.
You just like the rat. You don't like any of the turtles.
No, Shredder. Shredder was very powerful, very tough.
Mr. President, I'm sorry to change. We talked about the wedding before. Did you take flowers from the wedding and put them in your house?
Oh, you saw that? Yes, yes, I did. I thought I deserved a souvenir from the wedding besides the sex tape. So I said, and the bride was carrying the flowers out, and I said, "I'll be taking those, darling."
Before she threw them over her head, you just took her bouquet.
No, she did the throwing thing. She was
Oh,
terrible. A
okay.
very unathletic woman. She like didn't even reach the other people with the bouquet. But then she was walking out with some flowers, and I said, "Excuse me, I will take those." And she said, "No, but I was going to give them to my grandmother who's in the hospital." And I said, "Well, you can go to a florist like everyone else. These are my flowers."
That's really
It's called
horrible.
strength, tech stuff guy. It's called strength.
Well, Mr. President, we have a couple more stories. Also, again, congratulations to Rudley, our new Patreon president, and everyone out there. If you're not on the Patreon, I would join it now. Patreon.com/MPGA. Sign up, whatever level is good for you. We have bonus episodes, special
And
guests.
please let us know if you have any intel on Rudley maybe not doing a great job. We'd love to hear, or if he's doing a great job, we'd love to hear comments on his presidency.
Yes. So please let us know. Also, check out our website, mpgapod.com. Our t shirts are half off. We are going to be making new shirts once these sell out. They're almost out, and we are going to make a special shirt. I'm sure you guys know what it is, but we're not going to announce it yet. And check that out. Also, subscribe to our YouTube page. We have tons of videos on our YouTube page, full episodes, plush clips. Lots of more content for free. So check that out as well. Mr. President, very sad thing happened over the last summer with George Floyd, who was basically murdered by a police officer on camera. And the man who did it, Derek Chauvin, is now on trial. And the trial started.
But remember when I gave that beautiful speech about George Floyd looking down on our economy and smiling?
Yes, it was very
A lot better than Obama singing Amazing Grace at a church, that I can tell you.
What are your thoughts on this trial?
Well, I think what happened was a disgrace and a very sad thing, and we're going to let the court do a proper trial, and we'll see what happens.
Do you think he should be put to death, or do you think he should serve life in prison?
It's a good question. No, he looks more like a 10 years in prison with probation sort of criminal.
10 years for murdering someone on video.
And excuse me, and probation. Notice how you left out the probation. Of course you did. Radical left tech stuff guy.
It's not radical left. This man murdered someone in cold blood on the streets. Even this person was screaming he couldn't breathe, and the person still was. George Floyd was cuffed, and he still had a knee on his neck. He wasn't going to do anything. You can't do anything when you're cuffed and you're on your stomach.
Well, and that's crazy because cuffing season isn't even until the winter.
Mr. President, handcuffs. He was handcuffed behind.
Okay, well, you said,
back.
Excuse me, you're using different terms. Okay.
He was handcuffed behind his back. You remember this. We spoke about this. And
I have said that this is a horrible incident, and I'm going to let the trial play out. Okay, I don't know what else you want me to say.
But the evidence we are seeing, the evidence we saw already, what is there?
Well, that's part of the evidence. You haven't seen the reports. You haven't seen other evidence, other toxicology, they call it. We're going to look into many different things, but I hope justice is done, and we'll see what happens.
But what other evidence do you need? The evidence everyone saw. It doesn't matter if he was high on weed. It doesn't matter if he was high on PCP. No one deserves to be murdered.
But I think it also depends on other evidence. They'll decide what degree he's culpable.
Well, when you're leaning, what was it, 9 minutes? When you're leaning on someone's neck.
8 minutes and 46 seconds. See, this is what the radical left does. They make it sound so much worse.
I know I rounded up those 14 seconds. But why can't you just come out and say that he should be guilty and he should rot in hell? I don't understand why you're giving him
Excuse me,
a pass, almost, it feels like.
as a great Christian, I believe in forgiveness, and I don't want somebody to rot in hell if they don't deserve it. And I also think, I think John McCain is rotting in hell. That's for sure. But I don't
That's
want to.
horrible, but okay.
Well, you were just, excuse me, you were just suggesting someone else should be in hell.
Are you comparing the man who murdered George Floyd to John McCain? Because someone's a murderer and
Excuse me.
someone is a hero of our country.
No, I'm not, because I would never insult someone by comparing them to John McCain. He's a one of a kind son of a bitch. But no, I'm just saying we'll let the trial play out. We'll let the jury of his peers decide what level of guilt he has. And I will accept that.
What you watched the video, what level of guilt do you think he has? You think he has a 10-year sentence with probation kind of guilt, or life in prison kind of guilt?
Maybe in between. I'll say in between.
Should he die in prison?
It's a good question.
I know.
Well, the issue is, do you think he was being reckless? Do you think he was being vicious? Or do you think he was actually intending to murder him as he stood? Do you think he meant to murder him in front of bystanders?
I think he didn't mind if he was dead and he killed him. I don't think he had the knee on his neck saying, I'm going to murder this person right now. But I think he said, if this person dies right now, it's fine.
Well, then we would introduce the Drago defense. If he dies, he dies, which is, as you know, the Drago defense. So now, no, I would actually say acquittal by way of the Drago defense.
If he dies, he dies. Is the Drago defense?
It's very well known in Russian law.
But it's not well known. You can do that in Putinville, but you can't do that here. You can't do that in the United States and say that
Okay, excuse me, that's very disrespectful to Vladimir Putin. It's not called Putinville, it's called Putintang. Get the city right.
Putintang. I'm sorry, that tickled me. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, that's why you have the show with me and not Sleepy Joe.
All right. Mr. President, I'm going to go to our last piece of news. You do spit bars. You are a music aficionado. You do have lots of friends in the hip hop game. You are going to be making a label, Jim Crow Records. Now, how do you feel about Little Nas X?
Let me put it to you this way. Mike Pence, big fan.
Okay.
And I think Mike Pence and I don't get along too well. So no, he's Lil Nas X is a one-hit. I call him a one-hit blunder.
Why is that? You don't think he's going to produce any more hits?
Nah. I
He
think
may not produce any as big as that first one.
He had his nice elementary school rap, and you know what he should do next is team up with John Legend for the worst song ever.
Now, did you happen to catch his new sneakers? Nike sued him. they're black sneakers. He calls them the devil or something like that. And there is blood in the soles of the sneakers. And they're, have you seen the sneakers and what do you think of them?
I have seen the sneakers. Here's what I think of these sneakers. I think Nas X, okay, who, he was obviously trying to rip off Lil Wayne, my great friend Lil Wayne, and then the rapper Nas and Malcolm X. I think he thought if I just combine names of people who actually had something to say, maybe they'll treat me seriously. I think he's a disgrace. I think he's doing this to be sensational because he's got very minimal talent, and he sort of he came out as like, look at me, I'm the flamboyant pink gay rap cowboy guy, and even that couldn't sustain his fame. So now he's like, okay, they don't care anymore that I'm the pink flamboyant African American cowboy bad rapper. So why don't I put blood in my sneakers and call them devil shoes? So
Satan shoes. I'm sorry, called
oh,
Satan shoes.
Satan shoes. It's a weak move. He's obviously trying to be, everybody's trying to copy the Trump brand. Okay, say sensational things on social media, but you have to have a real talent for it, the way I do. Lil Nas X doesn't have the hip hop talent, and he doesn't have my social media talent.
Well, I don't know if the shoes are a joke because he says, "You guys don't get my sense of humor." Um, I don't know if it's a joke. But it does look like a ripoff of Air Max 97s. I think that was the year, and he does put a Nike swoosh on them. So I think it possibly these sneakers could be a joke, but people, of course, say that when you're getting sued by the biggest sneaker company in the world. So I don't know. Do you think it's a joke? Do you think he was really trying to sell these? You're a businessman.
I respect the company Nike for taking this action. And when it comes to Lil Nas X's, I would pronounce Nike with a hard R.
But Nike doesn't have an R in it.
It does the way I say it.
Would you buy Mike Pence those shoes for his birthday if they were real?
I would throw one of the shoes at Mike Pence's head.
Who had a shoe for? Was it George Bush who had a shoe thrown at him during a press
Oh,
conference?
very good. Look who's it's. We got history student tech stuff guy now.
History
showing up.
buff desk stuff guy. So you'd be recreating history. History would repeat itself, except to be a vice president, ex-vice president, with a little Nas X shoe hitting the side of his dome.
Exactly. Stupid Pence.
So I thought you guys were getting along these days.
Not really. He's still a very annoying person.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I thought you guys were boys again, but unfortunately, it's not the
He
case. It could
probably wants to do a duet with Lil Nas X. You can feel free.
Do you think he would have Little Nas X on his podcast? That would be a great guest.
I think he'd have him somewhere else besides his podcast. I thought you were going to say something else.
That'd be a great guest for Mike Pence to have Little Nas X on his podcast. Now, Mr. President, I appreciate you again spending so much time with us this past week with the movie review show. Plus, we had the bonus episode last week that went a little long. And
there's a powerful video going up for the Perfect Tens on Wednesday.
Very nice. So again, everyone, so much extra content, bonus material, patreon.com/mpga, and check out the website, mpgapod.com. Grab a shirt or at least subscribe to the YouTube channel, and tons of free content on the YouTube channel as well. And leave a rating and review like always.
No, excuse me. Not like always. We have
like
been,
you used to do, like you guys used to do.
Like you used to do when you cared, when you respected your president. We went from 1494 after about 2 months at 1494 we went up to 1496. Such strong work, everybody. You did 2 whole ratings and 0 reviews. Give me a break. Give us a bunch of ratings and reviews this week, or we may boycott.
It's free. It's free to do. Just it helps us out. You don't have to pay for it. Just write, love the show, and give a 5-star rating. That's all you got to do. It takes 2 minutes of your time, and it really helps out the podcast. And you can follow me at JNog on all social media, and you can follow this podcast at TrumpPod as well. Mr. President, any parting words, any news you have to share with the listeners? The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. This is your president. Hello, guys. It's JL. Only thing I'll say this week is if you would please be, as soon as you listen to this episode, whether you're a Patreon person or if you're a Wednesday listener, my monthly newsletter is going out from my website on Thursday with some show links and some other stuff. April's a very busy month for me, and it's also my birthday month. So as a birthday present, please, even if you do it after April 1st, there'll be monthly announcements of live shows throughout the year. Just go to the website, jlcomedy.com, scroll down the homepage, and just shoot your email into the newsletter. I'd greatly appreciate it, because that's the best way to know that you're hearing about all important things from me and not relying on social media algorithms. So thank you for that. And that's my only announcement. So thank you. Thank you, Jay.
Mr. President, I have one more thing I forgot to.
Yes.
I never have anything to promote, but if you're in Queens or New York City, we're going to be at Bel Air Diner. We're going to hopefully start this up again. April 10th, April 24th, 2 times in April, 100 seats outdoors. So if you don't want to go inside to watch a comedy show, outside under the stars in Astoria, that's at the Bel Air Diner in Astoria. And it's April 10th and April 24th at 7 p.m. Awesome acts, Comedy Central, Netflix. We have great acts on the show. So
clubs and colleges.
No, I'll tell you the lineup, but I want to be a surprise when you see the flyer. So we have awesome lineups, and possibly May might be a super duper show that everyone's going to come out to. So we'll see about that.
Because April 24th was a pathetic comedian's birthday, so he said, "Please let me do May instead, sir."
And that's all the plugs I got. So you follow me at JNog, and I list all the info there. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're not welcome. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for listening, as always, and God help us all.